Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today we're going to be doing a quick guide on Demon Hunters, giving you guys the little specs on my talents, how I was running in the last Demon Hunter video in Arena. Give you guys kind of ways to use, of course, the talents and mobility, the rotation, PvP talents, and I don't believe I have really any macros for this class currently. But anyways, guys, so let's go ahead and jump into this and talk about it. Alright guys, so before you can do anything, obviously you gotta know what talents you're rocking. For the level 99 talents, I'm going with Chaos Cleave to hit additional targets. Fel Mastery is also a good viable option if you want to have a little bit more Fury gain. Now for the level 100 talents, I went Demonic Appetite. Demon Blades is also something you can use that'll make your melee attacks deal shadow damage. Demonic Appetite will cause spawn lesser soul fragments. Consume any soul fragment, grants you 30 Fury. So I kind of use that to enhance my burst at times, guys, because 30 Fury is quite a bit. Level 102, I go with Fellblade for sticking on targets. It also generates 30 Fury, so like it's great for sticking on a target and generating damage for burst, since of course generating that Fury is going to be key for getting your Chaos Strikes, and spreading your Chaos Strike damage to multiple targets absolutely makes it an amazing ability. Now, the other reason I go with this is because it makes it a lot easier to stick on ranged targets and healers. With Fellblade, I found out with a lot of healers and stuff, I was having trouble sticking on a lot of targets on a Demon Hunter. Now, you're like, what? You really? Yeah, it's kind of funny. Because they don't really have that great of a slow. I mean, they do have a slow, but it's not as amazing as some of the classes' mobility, so that's why I go with that to counter some of that. The number 104 ability. Now, there's actually, it looks like a couple things here that are kind of good, but what I went with was Soul Rendering, and why is that, guys? I mean, because myself, I like being the aggressor, I like being the tanky guy, I like being able to initiate the fight. Now, Soul Rendering is going to give you 100% Leaf while Metamorphosis is activated, so that's going to be during your major cooldown. So you can imagine all that leech damage, it's 100%. So if you hit for 250k, it's healing you for 250k. If you hit for 250k and another 250k, it's going to heal you for 500k. Like, that's an insane amount of leech, guys. That's insane. This is what makes you tanky. This is what makes you take damage. This will make you not blow up. It's going to be this ability. Now for the level 106 talent. Fel Eruption's kind of cool. It's like a little bit of damage with an extra stun, even though I don't use it anymore. Reason why is because momentum is OP. Now you're thinking Fel Rush, eventual retreat, increase your damage done by 20% for 4 seconds. Amazing, guys. 20% damage is insane. So basically, instead of using like my Fel Rush as sticky on targets, even though I still do once in a while, I mainly use it to generate that 20% when I'm going in for bursting, or I'm going to dump Chaos Strikes to deal just an insane amount of damage. And you guys can see me doing that in my last video, using this ability to actually jump back with Vengeful Retreat, hit him with some range stuff, pop my cooldowns, and Fel Rush back into the target to deal 20% maximum damage, and then just dumping on the healer, and the healer just explodes. So that's how I was going about that, guys. The other thing you're going to use, the 185 talent, is going to be, I went with Unleashed Power. It removes the Fury cost. The Chaos Nova reduces cooldown by 30%. The Chaos Nova is your giant AoE stun, which can be used for peeling and or damage, which makes it absolutely amazing, especially since it's on a 40-second cooldown. Now, since it's free, what is that going to make it? Basically, you're not going to use any of your Fury going in back on the target. That's one of the other things. You know how I was saying jumping out, bursting, and then charging back in with my Fel Rush? One of the first things I do is kind of blow minor cooldowns, and then I stun them all, and then I nuke, because you're all just kind of throwing all this in there together. And if you, run out of Fury, you're going to be in a bit of trouble, obviously. Alright, so the number 110 talent, I mean, Fel Barrage is cool. Demonic was awesome when the laser beam was amazing. You couldn't interrupt it before, you can interrupt it now. So, I mean, it's not that as great as it used to be. It doesn't deal as nearly as much damage. So what I go with is Chaos Blades to enhance my damage, increases damage done by 18%, plus you get that extra 20%. And while active, your auto attacks deal 200 increased damage and cause chaos damage. So basically, it's like, kind of is like having Demon Blades, having Chaos Blades. I don't know if they stack. I'm going to have to check that. Yeah, it is a passive, so I can imagine they might. But the reason I go with Chaos Blades, of course, is to enhance that damage. Go for that that Fury dump with those Chaos Strikes. Using Chaos Blades, of course, proccing your Metamorphosis and a few other abilities just to get that all-in-one burst, guys, and that 20% damage, of course, again, from Fel Rush. So that's going to be it for the normal talents. Let's jump over to Honor talents. Honor talents, guys. Basically, of course, I go with Gladiator's Medallion because the other ones, no. Just don't do it. I also use Hardness, of course. Why I said I like Hardness, and I believe it was a Shaman video. that, you know, a lot of classes get damage buff based off of first hitting a target. That first 20%, going with hardness kind of counters that. So that's a really great ability to have just generally. Now let's see what we got here. I like to go with Solitude, increase your damage done by 15% and attack speed by 15% when there are no allies within 15 yards. Now the reason I wouldn't use this probably in 2s and 3s, but I'd probably use this more in Battlegrounds when trying to solo people. Because I mean that is kind of useless in Arena. So I mean more than likely I'd probably go with Cover of Darkness, playing with you know, friends / arena players. But basically it increases the chance for you and your allies to avoid damage within the darkness effect by 50%. So I mean, like shamans and arms warriors, things like that, that have a chance of getting blown up really fast, this would be the ability that would counter some of that major burst on him. It actually makes him survive for a lot of time. I remember playing with one of my buddies and I'd yell out, "Use the thing! Use the thing!" And then everything would work out fine. Alright, so next talent I choose is Unending Hatred. Passively, anytime you're victim to a magical effect, you gain 5 fury. So anytime a mage, AoE, brute, poly, things like that, boom, 5 extra fury for damage. And then you just smash on. The other thing I like to use, and a lot of other demon hunters like to use, is reverse magic for caster cleaves, because they throw that on you, and then you basically practice ability, and all those dots that are on you reflect back to the target. Like, it's pretty OP for like doing affliction warlocks and things like that. That's pretty nice. Now the other thing I'm using is Awaken the Demon Within, which basically grants you Metamorphosis at 50% health for 8 seconds. So you can imagine that 100% leech, that 8 seconds is going to be quite a bit. It's almost like having a last stand, or I'd say the regen that warriors have. I can't quite think of it off the top of my head. But basically, it just, you know, it's the save me. It's the save me for demon hunters. So be ready for that, and make sure you're ready to drop your chaos strikes if you're getting that low on health. As for the last ability, I believe most people, some people go with the Detainment for the extra CC, which is actually really good. Myself in Arena, I like to use Rain from Above to be a little bit more aggressive. As you saw on that healer, both DPS jumped on me trying to nuke me because I went very offensive on the healer. I jumped straight up in the air and started shooting the healer while the healer was also trying to go aggressive. By the time I came out of the air, the healer was down to about 60% health. I was able to fell rush over him and just blow him up before anyone knew what was going on. Both the DPS on the other team were lost. They were like, "What just happened? Where did he go?" Of course, I'm way up in the air somewhere. And they didn't expect me to come down and completely blow burst on their healer and cause them to explode. I mean, nobody does when they see someone go up in the air. The other thing is you need to be very quick with that ability, guys. If you're slow with it and you start spamming it like a little bit late, you're not going to get the full damage off. So the faster you click on somebody and spam that #1 button, the better off you're going to be. So you want to maximize all your hits, of course, with that ability. Now, I know a lot of people like to also use Mana Break when fighting casters and healers. I personally don't like it as much because I believe that we can get just as much or more damage out of dropping Chaos Strikes on people's faces than going for Mana Breaks. So that's going to be it for my talents and honor talents, guys. As for macros, I'm not really using any macros. I kind of like having most of my stuff split up on a Demon Hunter to get my maximum burst, because you kind of have to pop them in a certain order. Most of the abilities have very different cooldowns. Like Metamorphosis is 4 minutes, Chaos Blades is 2 minutes, and the Artifact ability is basically 1 minute. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump over to rotation and damage. Let's quickly jump into rotation, guys. A normal rotation on a Demon Hunter, let's start off like this, is basically smashing your face on Demon's Bite until you get up enough fury to use Blade Dance and or Chaos Strike. Now, it has kind of the same concept as a Death Knight, where basically I'd say Demonic's Bite is kind of like using Obliterate. Blade Dance is probably more like using a Howling Blast proc, and Chaos Strike is like dumping your Frost Strikes, because it's just a major fury dump that deals a lot of damage, also has a bit of splash. So, I mean, the dynamic rotation is almost the same as the Death Knight, which is pretty cool. But as for getting a little crazier with the rotation, if you want a better initiation, you can use Fellblade, since it's going to generate you 30 power. And then you can go straight into Blade Dance, pretty evasive action, and then go into your normal rotation. But for the most part, if you're like playing double DPS or something, you're actually probably going to initiate with Metamorphosis and go straight into the stun and burst as hard as you can, as fast as possible. In a 3 situation, though, you're going to want to build up to maximum fury before you throw in the Metamorphosis and pop your major cooldowns. just for the simple reason that, of course, maximizing pressure in an arena situation, of course, is the best way to go, and not trying to deal just consecutive damage, since you're probably going to rely on CCs at some point to land a kill. Now, how do we go about bursting, guys, in either situation? Okay, let's say let's just max out just for sake, because in double TPS you probably wouldn't do that, but let's just max out anyways. So what we're going to do when we want to burst, guys, well, we're setting your DPS on a target, we max out. What we're going to do is we're going to vengeful retreat. Alright, so we're going to get back. We're going to pop Metamorphosis. Now, I'm not going to jump fully in on the target. I'm only going to jump part way. You know why? Jumping part way, so I can zoom in on the target. I can pop my Chaos Blades. I can pop my Fury of Illidari. And then I can just start dumping Annihilation, which is, again, Chaos Strike. And it just deals a ton of damage. Now, if you're feeling like you're runic starved during that, of course, you can use your Fell Blade, generate a large amount of Fury, and then go back ham it on the target. Now, you might feel a little bit Fury starved while doing this, but truth be told, there's enough damage and pressure, as you're seeing right here, to definitely pump out enough to kill just about any kind of healer. Demon Hunters deal an insane amount of pressure when you do that correctly. Now, the more you utilize jumping back and getting away, and the more you utilize your Fell Rushes for that 20% extra damage, the better off your burst damage and your consecutive damage is going to be. So if one of those is off cooldowns and you're not going to use it for mobility to stick on a target or something, definitely take the time to utilize those to the best of their abilities. Especially Fellblade, since it's on such a small cooldown and it generates such a large amount of Fury, it's an extremely powerful ability in arena, in duels, 1v1, 2s, things like that. And it'll also be used as evasive action. Say you're DPSing on this target and you want to get to that target, mitigate damage, you can just hop right over to him. It's like having a charge on a really, really low cooldown. It's absolutely amazing. Now, the other thing is their defensives, they have Blur. I mean, Blur increases your dodge chance, reduces damage taken. It's better than Rogue's Evasion. Obviously, it's a good talent. The other thing is we got Spectral Sight, so we can see some rogues in Invis. I mean, basically they'll outline the rogue in red, and you just run up on the rogue, and you chuck your little glaive at him, and then the rogue doesn't get his OP opener, and that's how you counter rogues on Demon Hunters. But I'd have to say that sums up for damage, burst, how to stick on a target, how to deal normal pressure, and how to just deal some insane amount of pressure to blow some healers up, guys. And remember, when you're doing all that, you got to take full advantage of Chaos Nova, since it deals a lot of damage, and of course, it's your major AoE stun. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. It took way too many tries to get through this today. I don't know why or what's going on with the Legionnaires today. They're pretty brutal. It's almost making it impossible to record any type of footage, so that's why I broke down another guide today, because I knew I could cut it up into sections and slowly work my way through it, instead of, jumping into PvP, being like, this is a really cool match, we got this, and then DC right in the middle of the match, because nobody would like that. I mean, that would just, I'd be so pissed. I mean, after 2 or 3 of those, I'd be like, nope, not making a video right now. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. I hope this is going to help you out on Demon Hunter. If you have beta, if you don't have beta yet, guys, look forward to it. Just kind of scrap this up in your mind and keep that put away until the game launches, and you'll be ahead of a lot of the other players. But until next time, this was your boy Hazzed. We'll kind of play into the situation. If this happens like one more time, I literally can't even make a video today.